Hey there. So, in this video, I'm going to show you how to run Playwright on a Raspberry Pi via Docker. Okay, so let's get started. So I just want to tell you that I tried to install Playwright onto a Raspberry Pi just straight up on its Raspberry Pi OS. It did not work. So I did a little research, and apparently the only real way is to use Docker because Docker creates an environment that's suitable for Playwright. And so the first thing you need to do is to install Docker onto your Raspberry Pi. Now I found this website called Pimp My Life. The website's right here. Pimp My Life up, and then just type in Raspberry Pi, and then you'll get this website right here. And you follow the instructions. All you really need from this is, well, first of all, if you install a new Raspberry Pi OS, you should probably update and upgrade. But aside from that, all you really need is this command, this curl command, and just follow the instructions, and Docker will be installed. Now, so once you install Docker, you're going to probably need a Docker image that's suitable for your Playwright program. So go to the Docker website, the Docker Hub website. The Docker website here is hub.docker.com right here. Go to this website. Here's the website, and then type in the search bar, Playwright. And if this is Raspberry Pi, you're looking for something that's Linux. So go to the left-hand side, scroll down until you see the operating systems. Click on Linux, and click on ARM64 and ARM, and go back to the top. Now, I'm not quite sure about this one. I think this one's pretty good, but I haven't tried it. I've tried this one here. This one here for sure works. So you can pull this image. If you click on here, this is jacoblincool Playwright, and looks like it has all the drivers too. But just in case, we'll be installing the drivers as well. You can pull this image here, and then you can have the image and you can work with that, or you can build a Dockerfile to build the image yourself. Okay, so let's do the Docker file first, because that's how I learned, and then I'll show you how to do the other way, which I think is a little bit better. So first, open your Raspberry Pi. I have mine open here. Oh, it's rebooting. Yeah, hold on. Okay, so this is my Raspberry Pi. I'm using PuTTY to access my Raspberry Pi. I assume you guys all know how to do that. And then just make sure for folder. I called my folder Automate. And in your folder, you just make a file called Dockerfile. And so you just do uh, sudo nano Dockerfile, and then you just from here, then you can write these instructions. These instructions will be in the description of this video. So yeah. Okay, so let me simplify the Docker file for you. So what you're supposed to write inside this Docker file. So you make that file, and starting from here, this line, you want to write down the name of the image that you want to just, like the base image. So you start with from, and then the base image. You got to make a working directory. I called my working directory app/app, or you can just put slash if you want. And if you want to copy any JavaScript files or your Playwright files, so I'm copying this one onto, well, this is dot slash, which means it'll be on dot app and then your file. So this is the starting directory. So this represents the starting directory. You don't have to put expose, but I put expose because I want to ensure that port 80 is open so I can connect. And then run. You can run the install. You don't have to. It should be already installed, but this is a good. Just do it for a good measure. Run npm install playwright, and then run npx playwright install. But it already should be installed already. And then here shell. You want to make sure you're using the SS shell or the bash shell. So you want to copy this as well. That's good to copy down. And this command. Now, when you run your playwright, if you don't have a command there, this will be the command automatic command they'll use. So you should always involve a command, but if you can overwrite this. Just so you know, if you use entry point, then you cannot overwrite the entry point, but this you can overwrite. So I like to use the cmd command. Okay, so once you have all this, the command to build your Docker image, so you exit out of your let me just move this up, clear. This is a very big window. Okay, so to build this, all you need is this command here, docker build t. So what's going to happen is, and you may want to use sudo for that. So you docker build, and T stands for tag, and you want to name it whatever you want. I'm naming it Playwright because that's basically what it is. The image is a Playwright, it's specifically for Playwright, and the dot is where your Docker file is located. So if it's located in this directory, which means I'm using dot. Dot means this current directory. That's where my Docker file is located. And once you click on this, it'll automatically build your Docker file, and then everything should be pretty much ready. Okay, so let's get back here and let's do some show you some Docker commands which are pretty useful. So sudo, or you don't have to do sudo. You can say Docker images, and it will show you all your Docker images that's currently on your. So I only have one image at Playwright. This is one I made, and you can also use Docker image ls. That also does the same thing, but I prefer Docker images. And so if you want to see what Docker files, well, basically this is your Docker image, and when you run a Docker image, it becomes you have a Docker container. To see what your Docker container is, you type in Docker, and then you do Docker PS, and then I like to put an A because it shows you all the open and closed Docker containers. Here, there's nothing open, so to open a Docker image, we can do sudo. You don't have to do sudo, but I like to do sudo docker run. And now here's something interesting. So if you write on IT, what is DIT? D stands for detached interactive terminal, and IT is interactive terminal. So if you run this, and then you gotta put your image name. The image name is called Playwright, and then after here is the command. If you don't put a command there, then it will automatically write. Oops, it'll automatically run this playtest if you don't put any command up. But in this case, I just want to get into the shell and see what's inside. The IT is interactive. T here is terminal. So I just want to do a bash or bin bash or bin sh, either or, and it will get me into the Docker environment right away. So here it says sh. I can type in dir, and these are all the files I have in here. If you go out here, dir. So the working directory is app. So that's that. To exit out, you type in exit. And as you can see here, I already have this. Do I have test? Oh, here it is. I have Playwright test here. So if I just did run Playwright by itself, it automatically invokes um, it automatically invokes this command here, playtest. If you write that down, oh, just so you know, um, the way I'm testing this, I'm using my GitHub to test this. So I have a GitHub repository, and I called it this is just a test here, and basically the Playwright will go in here and just grab this line and just output it. So if I run this and give it a couple seconds, let it run. Oops. Now if you run docker ps -a, it will show you that I have two Playwright containers running. They're both exited. If you did just the Docker PS, it will show you nothing because the Docker PA dash A only shows you everything, whereas just PS shows you the ones that are running. So if you want to just erase all this because these images they take up space, so you can write down Docker container. Sometimes you don't have to use the word container, but there's sometimes you have to. For the Raspberry Pi, you're gonna have to use container, and then prune, and it was erase everything, and you just yes, and you type in docker ps-a, you see there's nothing there working. So let's run it. So let's just do docker actually let's do sudo docker run, and an option you can do is --rm, which means once you run the container, then it says close the container or get rid of the container, delete the container after it runs. And then you write down your I believe it called the image name is called Playwright, and the command that you want. I think I'm going to use command node, and I believe I called my JavaScript file playtest.js, and let's run that and see what happens. Okay, so here's the output. It says visiting page, and this is a test 6. If you look at my GitHub page, I have right here. This is a test right here, so it is working. Okay, so let me show you some other commands that are useful here. So this is the build to Playwright, if you want to build it, and it's not necessarily the best way, but you can actually do this one, Playwright IT that, and that means you can get into the Docker file and start making your files inside there. DIT, basically you run it in interactive mode, but it's detached, so you're not inside the Docker container. And you know what RM does? It basically runs it and then it just sort of exits out as soon as it's finished running. So those are the pretty important commands. Again, if you don't put a command at the, you should always put a command at the end, but if you don't put a command in then, it will automatically default to this here, node playtest. It should default to this. Okay, let's see if any other, okay, so if you want to delete an image, to remove a container, well, let me show you how to remove a container. Okay, so to remove a container, you do docker rm stands for remove, so you're removing only container, and you type in the ID of the container, and that will remove the container. Sometimes you gotta use the dash F to force it, and there was nothing there, but F sometimes forces it. To remove an image, let me just clear that. Docker images. This is the image. This is the name of it. So you can use the ID or the image name, but you do Docker uh, RMI. The I stands for image, so remove image, and then you put the repository or the image ID and to delete it. I'm not going to do it here, but you should just know these commands. And again, these commands will be in the link description of this video. Okay. Okay, so some other useful commands. Let's say you have a container open, but it hasn't like deleted itself yet. You can start a container by using, this is the Docker container ID. So start the ID, stop the ID, and attach. Attach means go inside the Docker environment. And inside the Docker environment, you can do whatever you want. You can delete stuff, you can make stuff, whatever it allows. A useful command here is the copy. So let's say you want to copy files into the Docker, and that's something you may want to do. So let's say you make a new script, and you just want to copy. So you do Docker CP is copy, and the name of your file or wherever it's located. Like it's called my file, and then you do over here. This is the container image. So yes, you have to have a container image opened or closed, but it has to be there, and then slash where you want to put it, and you rename it again. So I have it in app myfile.txt. This is just the reverse. If you want to copy a file from your Docker into your regular space, this is just the reverse, but in all likelihood you'll be using this. And once you have everything the way you want it, you can make a new image, and you would use docker commit and the name of the container and the name of the image that you want. You can have the name of the image. So you can rewrite the current image by just putting the current name here, or you can make a new image altogether. Now, I have found, however, it's a lot easier just to open up a Docker container. Just download it from you can download it from Docker Hub, use a Docker pull, and then once you have the image, you can open up the image here, and then you can like start moving files in and out of the image. You can you can install Playwright, do whatever you want, and then you can commit the file, which means you make a new image, and then you can use that image to do whatever. Because thing is, you have new files. Like if you make new files, you don't want to just delete and reinstall everything over and over and over again. You just use the current image. You open the current image, and you just put files inside the current image, and then you just commit it. And if you want to like put on a timer, you can use cron tab dash e, and it gives you here, and then you can, as you can see, I have a few things running. I already have everything commented out, but here, if you look at this line, I have docker run rm because I want to close the container as soon as I run it, and I just have the command node and then auto library or whatever your playwright script is, and yeah. I don't think I need to show you talk about that because the cron tab is another lecture, another video in itself. But yeah, I just wanted to show you my Playwright script really quickly, just so you know. So again, you may know this async, and here you open up the browser, headless true, and you hear new context, which means you erase all the cache information and new page. And this is important over here because Raspberry Pi is a slow device. It is a slow device, not as fast as your regular computer. So you may want to have a longer timeout. So here is, as soon as you open up a new page, you do new page, set default timeout, and as much time as you want. I'm using 300,000 or basically 300 seconds, and that should be enough. Should give it enough time to do what it needs to do. If you don't put this in, it'll time out after 30 seconds, and it's not going to complete. So you're gonna have to give it a lot of time. And I think that's everything I wanted to talk about. And yeah,